Close your eyes now and see the world. Close your mind and you learn. 'Cause all this job tree will surely burn. Now you know we're all on a path, and I hope you learn. No, and I know, sit down by the river, and you will find now, 'cause you're no bigger, no, what you are inside. Nah, nah, no, sit down by the river, and you will find now, 'cause you're no bigger than the birds that fly.
Welcome, everybody. I'm going to have a few other guests jumping on board here. And we got a call today with a wonderful guest talking about epilepsy, overcoming obstacles in life, and overcoming, as I had a traumatic brain injury from football. I had overcome 20 plus years of epilepsy, 2 epileptic car accidents, multiple grand mal seizures in the weight room, locker room, brain surgery that didn't work, battling alcoholism. So I have this amazing story. I'm putting a second book together, and right now also interviewing other people. I've been doing it for about a year now, since COVID, almost 2 years, going on 2 years, when it comes to self-development and personal growth, especially with dis-ease in life and epilepsy and battling things that we need to find as a challenge in life in order to change in life. And welcome challenge, welcome change. That word in and of itself, challenge, first 3 letters and the last 3 letters is change.
You're no bigger than what you are inside. Nah, nah, no, sit down by the river. You will find now, 'cause you're no bigger.
CHANGE. So you have change and challenge. We're going to have on this interview here a couple people that have overcome obstacles, that still have epilepsy, still deal with seizures, and we're going to be motivating others out there to have their own personal growth in life. But this is one main one that we're going to have for people out there that are overcoming obstacles of being in lockdown. I was basically locked up, locked in, locked out, and locked down in life from alcoholism, from epilepsy, from addiction, from escapism, from basically just seizures in general for almost 20 years, and then brain surgery that didn't work. So hopefully this is a motivating story for you from my perspective, but you're going to hear these interviews right here coming up, and you'll hear more motivation from others as well. Yeah, sharing the minds, being open-minded, and what I say is connecting the mind with the heart, right? And eliminate the mouthful of excuses in between. So we got to work together, right?
Yes.
You never know what you're gonna come up with when you got people thinking together, because we all got different experiences and stuff like that, and we all have our own intricate things going through our minds. So one idea I may say may be so basic to me or so simple to me, but it might sound like a gift to somebody else. Something that Squeaky says to me might sound like something I never thought of in my whole life, because she's been through things I haven't been through. So
Sean is there when like I have seizures, so he calls the ambulance and things like that. So his face, he has the ghostly look on his face too, but he's used to it now. So he's trying to not to make, like when I'm out of it, he just wants to make sure that I'm not stressed when I wake up out of it.
The sun does burn, the sea is cold, but we're all in the same rowing boat. Trying to get along.
Yeah, it's a big part, like we talked about. And why don't you introduce yourself? You go by Shanae, is that correct? Or
Sean is my real name. They call me Design, but you could call me Sean. Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'm just a creative and just a person that I'm into knowledge. I'm into self-empowerment. I'm into just a vast amount of things, like raising the frequency, good energy, using your talents for the better purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm here with Creative Collection Podcast, and we, it's called What Can Make It Better. So we just some creatives that got together, and we like to talk about things that can make the world better, starting with the basics like our daily routines, what knowledge we're taking in, what we're watching all day, just the basics, and taking it and just turning it into greatness, taking the small steps to make changes. And that's what it's all about for us right now with what we're doing. So we like to talk to people that have knowledge, particularly, maybe even an expert level in this situation, so that way we can really get it together. We could pull things together and come up with things that can help others as well as help ourselves, which we've actually been doing, helping ourselves. We've been seeing personal growth through this podcast from ourselves. Just starting to help other people is actually helping us. So we like to share that healing others is healing yourself in a sense too as well. So
yeah, I love that. Got to love yourself too before you can love others and heal yourself. But then also, what's part of the healing is when you get to the next stage of giving in order to receive. In order to receive love, you got to give love, right? Got to first yourself and then start giving out. What you perceive, you receive. So that's what I say when it comes to what you give out, you get back. So best to give love, right?
Yeah.
And Roy,
hey,
Roy.
How you doing? Hey guys, how you doing? How we feeling?
Good.
All right, positive morning, of course. Well, afternoon.
Yeah, morning's still here. Not even 10 o'clock yet.
Okay, where are you?
Positive, never negative.
Wait, where are you?
I'm in San Diego, in North County. San Diego.
Okay. How's the weather?
It just cleared up. We had like a big storm here. Is about 5 days of rain. That's like huge for us. Many inches, but this is a little lake I'm at, a little creek bed actually. In Escondido, it's North County, San Diego. It's about 40 minutes north of San Diego, but in the same county. So just chilling out here, better than sitting in my RV office. always positive about everything, but the sun helps things too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. For sure. Vital.
And Roy, do you deal with any epilepsy, or how do you two know each other? Tell us how you're connected.
Well, design, we met on the school bus? What was that, like third grade, like second grade or whatever? Yeah. So we pretty much went to the same school. We grew up together, and I met Squeaky through design probably maybe like 2006, 7.
Yeah.
Around there, possibly.
Yeah, in the studio, we're doing music.
Right. So we pretty much just been family ever since. These are my people.
Good.
Yeah, so facts.
The team, the Creative Collection.
Yeah, we just here. I do have questions for you and stuff like that because, like I said, I like to get like me. I'm very I'm a critical thinker. So when it comes down to like epilepsy, me and Roy don't have epilepsy and nothing like that. I'm a person that genuinely just likes to come up with different ideas to help things because from a critical thinking standpoint, I like to get to the point of like, yo, what's going on in the brain that's making it happen and what natural treatments can help these things that occur in the brain. Like I'm on that level with like thinking from a technical level of the brain and what's going on with the brain and stuff like that. So like when it comes down to depression and stuff like that, I'm actually the person that I don't think about the depression. I think about the inflammation in the brain. I'm that guy. So
that's how
just I'm here. I'm here to support.
I ask myself, what did you eat? What did you drink? When I had seizures, I don't have it anymore, but I would always say when that feeling came on, when that aura came on, depression's a great example too. When you're depressed, and sometimes I wake up like that, I wake up a little sluggish. I don't say like majorly depressed, but I'm a little down. So you know what? I ask, what did I eat? What did I drink yesterday? And I'm aware of it. I don't mind eating a big pizza, a lot of, good food, but then that can make you sluggish. That can make you a little down. That can drain you. And that's what epilepsy, that's what happened to me with epilepsy was years of alcoholism, partying, drinking. Of course I was hungover the next day. Of course I was depressed the next day. And I just wasn't aware of it. It was like you just said, I was taking all the medication they gave me thinking, oh, this will help me. This will help depression. This will help anxiety. This will help epilepsy. And you don't change your life. So what's the benefit,
That's exactly why I'm trying to bring awareness when it comes down to the critical thinking aspect, because like you said, when we take these pills and stuff like that, it's just like, okay, take the pill and then I'm going to be okay. And really, you're just suppressing something, and you're not really dealing with it. You're kind of just like, okay, I'm gonna take this pill, and the pill is gonna put a certain chemical in my body, which these chemicals that are gonna come up in your body are probably something that you could produce through doing other things in your life, like working out, like working, or like treating yourself a certain way and stuff like that. These extra chemicals are unnaturally coming in your body when you can work to put these chemicals, some of these chemicals in your body naturally. Or you could either make your medication regimen even better because you're doing the healthy things along with the medication. So now you have a better chance of avoiding all these sicknesses and all these things that put you in harm's way. So that's why I like to use my mind to help.
Yeah, love that. Mind over matter.
You was playing football, was it?
Yeah, I was football back in high school, and we played on Fridays like you guys probably did if you grew up playing football. Everybody was into that. But we played on Sundays too. So I'm a little bit older. I grew up in the 80s, and the schools were open around here, and we played on the field on Sundays. We played tackle football since I was 10 years old. We were tackling each other, going crazy, drinking some beers later, 16, 17 years old, having fun. But this was no helmet, no nothing, no pads. You were just out there brawling, having fun. And I took a knee to the head like I had a helmet on, and I'll never forget that. Man, I was in a perfect position, tackling the guy, no helmet, and the knee basically just went right to the head, right to the left temporal lobe when I went to go tackle him. And if I had a helmet, I still would have been injured, but I got knocked around. I got right back up, but immediately started throwing up. I had the anxiety, the stress, the small malls are called now. I saw later, but it was like the aura was anxiety and almost like a feeling of death. I swear thousands of times I felt like something was like an outer body experience, like I was leaving myself going, oh, this isn't right, something's not right. I felt like I was going to die. And I started throwing up on the sidelines a couple minutes later, and they're like, hey, he's not good. I blacked out. I woke up 3 days later in the hospital, and I thought it was still the same day. I didn't know what happened, but I had all my family and friends around me, and they're like, you okay? And they were about to do brain surgery, but they held off. And I guess they gave me the right medication to reduce the swelling. So this was an injury that was a concussion, but even back then it wasn't. They put me on some medication for a couple of weeks and they took me off, and that was it. They thought it was over. But I had small malls continually, and I didn't even know I was having them for years to follow. And I went on to college, and the drinking got worse. I was partying. I was, like living the dream in college. I just wanted to party and drink. That's all I wanted to do. That was my major, I call it, is beerology. So got a 40 in one hand and a blunt in another. And and I was going to school and getting paid in a sense, like parents were helping me out. It was great, but it was stupid because then I had a seizure my sophomore year in the library, and they said, you have epilepsy. What, did anything happen? I didn't know what epilepsy was. I knew what a seizure was. But then I told them, oh, I had a football injury. And they said, well, you've had epilepsy and you have it now. So you should be on this medication. And it was like, Squeaky, you'll know, Tegretol, Topamax, Depakote, Keppra. It was different medications over the years. But each and every one said, do not drink alcohol. And I was just like, sometimes I would be taking it with alcohol. It was so crazy. My life was just revolved around it. So it never left. And I don't think it caused an effect. It's kind of crazy to say, but alcohol was there and the pills were there from age 20 on, and it never really, it did good actually for 10 years. But to answer your question, that's kind of what happened. Yeah, I had a football injury back in the day.
So you said small mall seizures. That's a part of, because I have grand malls. So
you might understand them as if an aura means if I'm talking to you right now and you see me like doing this, I'm giving you an example, and then I'm and the words aren't coming out, and you're like, what's the matter with him? And in my mind, all those thousands of times, it happened a couple times a week, but it would go away in 30 seconds. Like I would feel this weird feeling. It's almost like an outer body experience, like I said, like I was leaving my body, but it was just stomach sickness, tingling down my left arm, usually on a scale of 1 to 10 is how I rated it. And it was usually a 2 or 3. And if it got to a 4 or 5 and I tried to talk, I couldn't get my words out right. It sounded like I was saying, hey, how you doing? I'm okay. I would tell people, but it sounded to them like I good. Yeah. Whatever it sounded like, I don't know, but they looked at me like ghost. What are you talking? Are you drunk? I was, no, I'm just, and all of a sudden it would come back 30 seconds, a minute later. Those were the small malls and the auras that happened a lot. And since they went away and I was on the medication, that's what the medication did. It prevented grand mals from happening. It was a, what do they call it? It prevented the prevention from grand mals. There's a name for it. I'll remember it. But I took those for years and just functioned as, not a heavy alcoholic at the time, but enough where I had a couple beers every night, or drank pretty heavy on the weekends. And it was just normal. And if I got off the alcohol later, it was causing seizures. It got that bad later, though.
My signed on. Hi, Auntie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Doing well.
Hey, how you doing?
David.
Okay.
She's also here to learn because she has neuro problems herself. So we all have different forms of neurological disorders here, but I found you through Sean recommended your videos to me. So I invited my aunt and other people because we all are learning, and we're trying to do the holistic thing as well that you're doing. So I appreciate you for coming on, Auntie.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the holistic part has been a great part. I'm glad all of you connected. Sean, appreciate that. And you saw that, and she loved the video too. She said she could connect. And even that picture in the background is very inspirational for me because I had epilepsy and seizures in the racquetball court. I cracked my head open in the weight room. I was trying to come back in life. And so that 10-year period that I was telling you, I was normal. I graduated college. I struggled with my grades. It wasn't easy. I couldn't even get into college. I had a 1.7 in high school because I partied so much. And I went to junior college and then followed my girlfriend up to Northern California. And I got into Chico State, but that was the #1 party school in the nation at the time. So it wasn't a good mix of, like I said, 40 in one hand and everything else just crazy. But I got through it. God, prayer, everything else. I graduated, got married, got a sales job, ended up in pharmaceutical sales, ironically, selling the drugs legally and making the money and living the life. And all of a sudden, 5 years later, married, $1 million home in Anaheim, everything. And I got a DUI my first DUI in 2002. And the stress happened. And then the seizures returned. And I got in 2 epileptic car accidents in 2004, divorced in 2005, bankruptcy, living with my parents at 34 years old. And the seizures were full blown. And I couldn't stop the stress. Even if I sobered up, I was sober for about a year and I couldn't it was stress in life. So it goes back to this holistic part. I didn't really pay attention holistically. I was just doing what the doctor said. And what the doctors say is, follow the prescription, of course, but it's not that what they prescribe on paper, it's what you prescribe in your heart.
Right.
That's right.
Attention, right? Pay attention to the mind. Relax your mind, let your conscience be free. I heard back in the day from little rap from EPMD. I was a big poet myself. So I heard that and it stuck with me. Relax your mind and let your conscience be free.
All right.
I didn't understand it, but it was more like, let your heart lead the way, not your mind. Don't be focused on the money. I was all focused on money, success, everything else was up here in the ego, which is fine, but you need to have more of a passion. And I wasn't following it. I wasn't paying attention to what I was eating, how I was drinking, just collapsed again. Another DUI in 2005. And even in sobriety, constant problems, seizures and brain surgery in 2007. And then it got better for a while, but then I started drinking like an alcoholic, right? And within 6 months after drinking, I had another DUI in 2008. So I was in jail. My life was a mess. The anxiety that people don't realize is what leads to epilepsy. It's what leads to seizures, because they're just thinking, I had a seizure. I can't believe this. I need to take different medication, or I need to take more medication. That is part of it. I don't knock the medication, but I had a shirt that said meditation over medication, right? Some of the words in there were, understanding what's going on. How are you fueling yourself? How are you eating? How are you drinking? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Maybe you're in a toxic relationship. That could be horrible, You're always stressed.
Yeah.
So let me go back to you guys and see what you add to that or what you like from that.
I like to dissect. I started to get to a point where I like to dissect what's in these medications, because a lot of times the stuff that's in these medications is stuff, like I said, that you could do for yourself, literally in a literal aspect, because just the sometimes neurologically you'll take a certain medication just so that your brain can send a signal to the other side of your brain or something like that. And if you do a morning workout and you take, just an example, vitamin C or something like that, that same neurological exchange happens in your brain. We just don't want to get up in the morning, 7 a.m. and do that work to make that neurological difference happen. We'd rather take a pill for it because it's safer. It's not necessarily safer, but it's easier to do that than have the discipline to get up every single morning and know, okay, I got to do this because this is my regimen to survive, to get through the sickness or whatever. So yeah, I watch out for that. But
right, yeah. What if you could take a pill and then all of a sudden you're ripped and you don't have to go to the gym and you're fit and you just go back to bed? That'd be a great pill, huh?
That would be great.
I mean, nowadays you can possibly do something like that. It might not be just a pill. You might have to take a pill and get a surgery, but you could do it. You could take a pill. You could take a pill, take some testosterone, and then go get a surgery and all that. And then next thing you know, you pumped up. Now, after a couple of years, you might not be that healthy if you don't get in the gym.
Yeah.
Right.
But the natural, holistic way, I like what you have to say there.
Yeah. So everything's natural. It's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask basically like, when it comes down to like making a decision, because I feel like you went through a lot of things that would have had a lot of people down in the dirt, honestly, like when it comes down to like going through jail, going through divorce, going through all of these things. Like, talk about your how you didn't give up, like what made you not give up, like what kept you going after all that, because that's something a lot of people are going, you know what, honestly, I'm gonna keep drinking until I take myself out. I'm gonna keep on drinking now because I'm tired of this. I think a lot of people would have.
It's the drunk, the stupid thinking, they call it, the drunk thinking, the drunk me. So again, it goes back to two entities. I say the spiritual me, God, Holy Spirit, and the drunk me, the addiction, say Satan, whatever you want to look at it. But the positive and the negative, the evil, the good and the evil. And a part of me was very, very functioning as an alcoholic. And I kept, every 3 years though, I made a mistake and I kept drinking and driving a lot. My weakness was going to the bars, going to Charger games, Padre games, just very social drunk. And those were stupid things. And then the stress led to more epilepsy. So even again, in sobriety, before brain surgery in 2007, I was meditating, I was doing things well, I was in my zone for health. I was very good working out every day, but I still had those auras. So it was kind of depressing, it was hard. And I would, after the brain surgery, when I started drinking again, I felt like a failure and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop the drinking because it was just like, it made me feel good. You know how drinking or whatever it is, but it felt good for a couple beers, but then it got worse. The addiction got worse. I started losing jobs, losing relationships, couldn't have a relationship. The only person I was in a relationship was with me. It was like an addiction to the drinking.
And you're addicted in your drug.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of like dating yourself. And if somebody says, what was your longest relationship? I say 25 years of alcohol, off and on. It was a horrible relationship because you love it at first and then it takes over. It's just like being with the worst partner in life. And that's how it happened. Was when I woke up in 2012, October 10th, it's been 10 years now, but on 10/10, I had my 4th DUI and I could have killed somebody. This lady pulled out in front of me and it was her fault, but I went over her hood with my big lifted 4x4 truck and I literally, boom, boom, like a speed bump. And I was so wasted that night, I just woke up, I did a 180, I looked up and it said Oceanside Police Station. That's where it was in the city of Oceanside out here. I was right in front of the cop station. And I didn't know how I got there, what happened, but I'm like, I'm done. I was scared straight. Like they said, I was in jail for 6 weeks. She was okay, luckily. But to go back to your point, it was just like, how did I stop? And the repetition of, of alcoholics, of drug friends, of people that you knew growing up and you see them die like that, it's really sad. And people were coming to visit me in jail. And that's what woke me up. My mom visited me and she said, you're killing me, Stephan, you're killing me. I'm going to die before you do. She was crying. She was all upset, and I was just like, oh, I'm affecting other people. Total narcissism. Narcissism is thinking about yourself. And I'm not like that naturally, but alcohol fuels narcissism. So that's another area I saw. And people just don't give a shit about other people. They're just drinking. They want you drinking. They want you to drink with them again, right? All my buddies were like, come on, man, have another beer. I'm like, dude, I got 4 DUIs. So I'm like this. I'm like, I'm not going to drink anymore. And they're like, come on, bro. And my quote is, by the way, I said turn the FUs to thank yous. So I got a quote that I marketed with and stuff. And I want people to understand, to have a better view of life. And I didn't get down on those people. I just accepted it. They want to drink, they want to party, so be it. I'm not going to be there anymore.
Right.
So
Hi, Miss Davis. Miss Maria Davis just signed on. Thank
Hello.
you for being.
doing
Good
Hi, Maria.
afternoon.
good afternoon.
How are you doing?
All is well.
Miss Davis.
How are you
Yes,
doing, Davis?
Hi.
How
And what
are
do you do
you?
here? Are you friends of the family? Friends of?
Under the weather, but I'm listening.
Okay.
She's also a mentor of mine. You want to introduce yourself, Miss Davis?
Maria Davis, community activist in Harlem, music industry, AIDS survivor of 20 plus years in activists, and civic engagement in my community.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Yes,
meet
nice to
you.
meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet you.
for joining.
Hardworking the
Nice.
Superwoman, right? The Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stefan, do you recall like the first step that you took forward to help you get to, on track, get on course?
Yeah, that's a great question, Roy. And it goes back to AA. Alcoholics Anonymous was a big part in helping me. But it had to do with step one in that program. It says, admit you're powerless over alcohol and that your life became unmanageable. And I always had admitted, I was never that guy that said, because I met people like this, I drank with people that would say, oh, it was my wife's fault, or it was her fault, or his fault. And they always blame everybody. I would be in DUI class, and I met some lady I'll never forget. She had 4 DUIs. I was only on my first, I think, at the time. And I'm like, 4, dang, she's got a problem, And I'm looking at her, and she's like, well, my husband cheated on me, and this person happened, this and that. And she blamed everybody. Every DUI, she had an excuse. And I started saying on step one, admit you're powerless over alcohol and that your life's become unmanageable. It had been unmanageable for 20 years. And from 2002, from the biggest mistake of the DUI, losing my pharmaceutical career and then losing my marriage 2 years later, it wasn't my former wife's fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. If I wasn't drinking, this wouldn't have happened. So I had to reconnect with myself and understand that it was about me. Wayne Dyer is a great author and speaker I listen to a lot, and I saw him before he passed 3 times. He said, you got 1 finger out, you got 3 fingers pointed in. If you've heard that, like you did
Right.
it, and you're look at yourself, look at yourself, what's wrong with you. And I never really blamed anybody again. I would just like, okay, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop drinking and driving. I'll just drink at home. I'll just drink here or I'll have somebody else drive. There was no Uber back then. And, taxis weren't real big, but it destroyed my life later because I woke up knowing I had a problem, but didn't stop. So if you ever ate something or drank something that made you sick, you wouldn't do it again, right? So I kept drinking and drinking and drinking, and there was always the craziness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, you was gonna say something, Roy?
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think like the trick to drinking is that psychologically, for the beginning stages of drinking, it lifts up your anxiety and all that. And then it also frees your mind from overthinking a little bit for a while. But once you overindulge, that's when we get to the higher up stages of it. By the time you're on the 4th stage of drinking, it's over. You're already on another level, especially if you're doing it every night all the time. You're messing up the way you move. You're just unconscious. You don't care what you're doing. You're messing up your liver. So it's just like it's either you do it moderately or you just don't do it at all, because big time drinkers always end up in trouble. And I know people that they good to drink and they won't wild out. Like you said, over the years, like for 1 day of drinking, fine. A month of drinking, they good. But then after 6 years of drinking, is always that 5 or 7 days, something super crazy happens, like something super crazy, some crazy fight or something, or some car accident or something. And no matter how used you are to drinking, it's always going to be that time you take that cup too much. And I feel like there's another trap. A trap with drinking is for the heavy drinkers anyway, not for like the calm, like occasional drinkers. For the heavy drinkers is the more you drink, the more you want. Like it's like you keep drinking your Hennessy. The more you drink, the longer the night is, the longer you want to drink. You don't want to stop drinking until the night's over. That's the problem. So if the night ends at 4 a.m., these guys are going to drink till 4 a.m. Like,
yeah, that's how I was. Crazy.
That's true.
That used to be me. It used to be till 4 a.m. I'm like, yo, we leaving 4 a.m. I'm drinking till 4 a.m. Like, I'm not like, I'm not stopping drinking at 2 a.m. I'm not stopping drinking at 1:30. I'm drinking till 4.
That was me as well, because I also was bartending as well, and that did not help. So I'm sitting there tasting everybody's drink, making sure it's right, and I'm serving them to from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. And it's just like I'm drunk by the end of the night. And I'm like, you know what? I can't even be drunk because I have to take my medication, you know? And so.
You were in the same boat, huh? You were taking the medication and drinking.
Right. So I'm just like, how?
Nice.
And I've been doing this job for a long time. I mean, I've been bartending before I was supposed to even bartend. So, you know, so.
But see, that's the thing is, I believe this, and I lived it, that the body can function with alcohol and medication if you're on it all the time. The problem I had, it's just kind of weird to say that because the doctor would say, don't drink. And if I stopped drinking, I would have problems. It kind of felt that was the more addictive side to it. I would feel like more auras, more problems. It just, if you stay the same, that's why they call it delirium tremors too, by the way. You drink heavily for 3 days on the weekend, and a lot of DTs, delirium tremors, are the side effects after coming off alcohol. You're shaking. When you see people, heavy alcoholics that are shaking after alcohol, they need that. You know, they are addicted, and it's affecting the body. So that's kind of what happened to me too. At the very end of my drinking was, you get so addicted and used to it that you can't get off of it. And if you do, in this case, like an epileptic, you'll have seizures.
Yeah. Well, your body gets used to it. You know, your bodily function gets used to it, and people we like to talk about liquor and alcohol from a negative perspective, but all of the perspective of liquor is not all negative. There's some positives to liquor, especially when it comes down to wine and then the natural liquors and stuff like that. Because like I said, to me, it literally does lift up anxiety. It lifts you up off your anxiety. That's why people get more social when they drink a cup or two. The next thing you know, they finally want to talk to that girl or whatever. It gets you. It raises the anxiety off you just a little bit, but after that, it goes up to another level. You don't necessarily need to go all the way up to that level. And I think your body can get used to that. Like, yo, I'm used to that level of anxiety being off me. So I think from my observation, I see that drinking does reduce stress on some level. But the problem is to sit there and drink every single day and drink large amounts of liquor is that it's messing with your liver, and then that you consciously going to be an idiot after a while. So
too much of anything is.
Yeah. Amen. That's right on. Yeah. That's how I felt. You start so long ago. In my mind, I feel I was still like 21, but 7 years later, I'm 28, and I'm married, and I should be responsible. And then 7 years after that, I call it the 7-year shift, by the way. Every 5 to 7 years we shift. And by 7 years later, I was homeless, living with my parents, and I still felt I could drink, you know. And what happened? Why wouldn't I stop? You know, there's part of you that says, oh, I'm throwing up this morning. I'm never going to drink again. I hate alcohol. 8 hours later, I'm at the bar. Right? It's crazy. It's like possessed, you know.
Well, I think it's about the misery. You know what I mean? Honestly, because because I was going through that too as well. I definitely had like some type of drinking like going on. Like I was getting drunk to the point where I blacked out at least 5 times in my life. So I think what it was, when I think back on it, I think like I was drinking and I was like, yo, I know I'm gonna hate it by the end of the night, but I'm gonna enjoy this 5 hours. Like, I'm so miserable right now. I'm gonna enjoy this 7 hours of being drunk. Tomorrow, I don't care what happens. Like, that it got to that point. Like, that's bad, man. When you start thinking like that, that's bad.
Yeah, and it leads us into the health and wellness and nutrition part. And everybody that has changed their life has usually changed everything about their life. You can't just, so here's the things: physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. So I had it all financially. I had a 6-figure income, $1 million home overlooking Disneyland in Anaheim. I was living the dream, but physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was lost. I was a mess, you know, and that's an F in life. So I wanted to hear more too about stories of nutrition, health and wellness, or what you did. What, you know, we can all add to this, but what I did was, after sobering up, I just started focusing on what I eat, what I drink, paid attention to it. Epilepsy went away. Even a year before I was sober, I started eating healthy in a crazy way. I was like taking a bicycling to work, getting a good workout, eating healthy, nutrition, then go to the bar, and then alcohol. So it was kind of a crazy thing, but health was doing this. It was taking over, and then in the end, in sobriety, all the health and all the wellness. I mean, my whole drawer, it used to be full of alcohol. It's all full of nutrition stuff, you know, protein powder and vitamins and all this stuff, fruits and vegetables and everything. I bought 10 stalks of celery last night, by the way. I was up at 4:30 this morning juicing for the next 3 days. I have about 2 gallons of celery juice that I drink now. And I played racquetball at 5:30 a.m. this morning. So that's my new addiction in a good way.
Alcohol gets, honestly, I feel like once you get, we could talk about the herbal thing, because once you get into the herbal thing, alcohol becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Because you start being like, yo, I don't want to mix no wine with this stuff. I'm about to take some God-given herbs. I ain't mixing no liquor with this tonight. You start thinking like that after a while. Like, why am I about to take some ashwagandha and then drink some Hennessy or drink some Sveka after taking some ashwagandha? It just makes no sense. Like, it's kind of like, it's like doing good and doing bad all at once. It's like, okay, let's see what I come up with. Like, I think if anything, it just gets to, for me, it got to a point where it's like, I don't even want to drink nothing unless it's wine. I'm looking at everything like, if it's not wine, I won't even touch it at this point.
And then like, the thing is, it's just like after a while, like the hangovers just start to hit a little different. Like you start to feel more and more lousy. It's just like you just get tired of that aspect as well.
Yeah,
so
to replace with as well. Like you got to do something else. Like you said, you picked up racquetball. We picked up doing this podcast to keep ourselves going. Even though we started in the pandemic, and but also like I started to study more things for the brain that I didn't even know I was already promoting, and design and a few other people helped me realize, like passion flower, valerian root. I was stuck on CBD oil as well. I don't know if you can see
food.
Look at shit.
that helped a lot. That stops my seizures in its tracks because I had 2 brain surgeries. And the second,
and you look.
thank you. I love you. So the second brain surgery, which was 2017, I had a shunt placed, and that's when the seizures started to come. And like I said before, I just didn't rest. I went right back into DJing and performing and doing the works, and like nothing happened. So I didn't allow my brain to heal. And I would be, Sean would find me on the floor in the studio and just tell me like, what happened, Squeaky? Why you on the floor? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's how I knew something wasn't right. I had a seizure. I didn't know what was happening. Like, so.
It honestly got to the point where I was like, yo, stop thinking about all that stuff you're dealing with. Just go to sleep.
Yeah.
I started telling her, ignore everything and just get some rest. And this takes me to my question, Neil, since we want to make sure we're on topic. So when it comes down to epilepsy and everything like that, we talking about going from pharmaceuticals to holistic. Express yourself a little bit. Explain some of the beginning steps and how that could work. Explain, since you have done both, you've been under pharmaceuticals, you've been under holistic. Explain the differences. Explain which one you feel is actually better, and just explain the process on getting through to going the natural route for people that want to take that or work that way.
It was an awakening point when I first got the DUI, and I was on medication, right, that whole time. But when my life became stressed and I lost my job and I was losing my marriage and I was going through rehab, the more seizures started coming up. So the more they started increasing the Keppra, the Lamictal, the different medications, they kept increasing them. And I was kind of at a loss for what was happening because it was becoming harder and harder for me to communicate. And I didn't know the side effects. Back then, internet wasn't that popular. And I had to literally go to the library in some cases to look up, Lamictal or stuff. And then when, we had Google back then, I know, but I'm not that old. But at the same time, I just really wasn't understanding why I was feeling sluggish, why I couldn't talk. Sometimes I would go to inside sales. I had to go from outside sales to inside sales because of the epilepsy. and I was on the phone a lot, and I was very sluggish in the morning. So I got tired of it after so many years after brain surgery. Then I had to get back on the medication. The side effects were horrendous. And I started saying to myself, like, this needs to change. When I started having the aura, when I started having the small mall, the what did I eat? What did I drink? You know, I just had some McDonald's. I just had some soda. I just had some red dye 40, yellow dye, chemicals that were in these candies that I was eating and junk. You know, I think that I can't testify for this. Remember, I'm not a doctor, I have to say, but I am my own doctor. I prescribe my own medicine. And I felt that these chemicals were triggering the epilepsy, were triggering some type of like, wow, don't eat that. Almost spiritually, this isn't good for you. Like, what are you doing? And your body will tell you that when you're swallowing something and you don't feel right and it's getting stuck even. I had acid reflux. I had all kinds of stuff that was very upsetting to my body. It was making my body worse and worse every time when I was eating the junk food. So to go back to your question, I had to, in 2010 and 11, after having more seizures, cracking my head open in the weight room, seizures in racquetball court, I gave up all the healthy stuff and I just drank. It was horrific, but I was just, I sold my racquetball gear. I stopped going to the gym because I couldn't mix it and I couldn't get sober. So what did I do? I just kept drinking. And though in 2011, I just knew in the mornings, I can't take these pills anymore. So I slowly started meditating. I started praying more, I need to control. I wish I could just drink 2 drinks. That's what I would pray about. I wish I could just go to the bar and have, like you just said, Sean, 2 beers and then go home and be normal. My 2 beers were about 60 ounces. You know, I was literally drinking a pitcher when I got there, and I would go through 5 to 8 beers a night of 16-ounce beers, and that wasn't good. So it was affecting me, but I also knew the medication, I needed to get off of it. And within a year, I was slowly weaning my way off the medication and getting healthier. I know it's even hard to explain, but I was eating healthy, but I was drinking. I was riding my bike, but I was drinking. You know, I was still getting there. And when that last DUI and my sobriety hit, everything changed where I got off medication completely. I just stopped it myself. I was in jail and I told them I'm not on any medication, and they didn't renew anything. They didn't have any prescriptions. I was in jail for 6 weeks and I was meditating and feeling better. So I paid attention to what I was eating, what I was drinking. And after that, in the next year, I didn't need the medication anymore. It was off. That's a crazy way to unprescribe yourself, right? But if people can,
Is it cold turkey?
You know,
cold turkey.
Describe, what's that?
You did it cold turkey.
Yeah, cold turkey, pretty much. Like the medication was slow, and we are what we eat. And I found myself that. And so I just read that too on there, the notes. We are what we eat. We are what we drink. We are who we surround ourselves with. The vibe of other people. It was all horrific in jail, and it was just see those people that look like they're 60 years old when they were 40, like me. I go, I don't want to be like that. They were homeless in this park right here. One guy I met was living out of this park, so that would have been me. And I knew that I had to change my life for the better. So I had to pay attention to eating and drinking, and I eliminated fast food. These auras that came on, spiritually, I think it was something telling me when I would eat a Big Mac or something that, I don't feel right. And I paid attention to it. I was awake. It was very quick, and it was like a nudge that said, this isn't good. And then it was just digestion problems, all kinds of stuff. So I got rid of that next time. I got rid of Del Taco. I got rid of Burger King. I got rid of this, got rid of that.
Well, fast food.
Yeah, fast food in general. I mean, there's nothing wrong with occasional, everything, right? In moderation. Like you said, have some wine once in a while. But if you have one and you can't stop, don't do it. And to me, a burger now, Super Size Me was a great movie. I love that. You know, I saw that documentary and I felt like that guy eating a Big Mac now and throw up, you know? So I just had to shift my life in the holy shift, I call it, right? The holy shift said, don't eat this. Okay.
Another side question.
Yeah.
How much medications were you on at one time?
One time, I think
for the people that's taking it and stuff like that.
Yeah, 2005 and 6, I was on 3 different medications. Usually it was one, but the seizures were getting really bad in 2005 and 6. I was on Lamictal, Keppra, and Topamax, Tegretol, and then Lamictal or Keppra. You know, I kept the doctors kept switching them.
So you was on 3 different ones. All right. And then for the herbal, when we switch over, what is going to be like 6 different natural herbs, probably like on a, like, you know what I mean, on a scale, because I know you probably might take something once a month or something like that. But on a scale, like, what would you say holistically the view is when you switch to holistic?
I just started seeing that I needed to eat better and feel better. And fish oils was an example, vitamin C, vitamin D. When COVID hit, and I did have COVID, by the way, about a year and a half ago, I started doing zinc, and different vitamins would come up. Vitamin A, of course, a lot of B12 for working out, a lot of different things. But I had a whole pantry full of vitamins. And just recently too, about 6 months ago, I got on more of a higher meat diet, eating chicken, more protein, less fat, don't eat after 6 p.m., you know, because I have a snack addiction, a sugar addiction. Alcohol is sugar. Sugar breaks down, alcohol breaks down to sugar. So when I sobered up, I was always eating chocolate and eating junk.
Okay. So I know, I think I'm just trying to formulate a little something. So it sounds like holistically, you just follow your regimen holistically in general for general health. And you do a couple of things that pertain to epilepsy, seizures, and stuff like that. But for the most part, you're just generally just making sure the chemicals in your body are flowing well. You're feeding your brain good brain food. You're exercising and stuff like that. And you got a general outline that pretty much naturally attacks epilepsy. If I'm right.
Right. I've been epilepsy free for over 10 years. Nothing it comes up anymore. So not even auras. What was coming up, and to answer your question, or a good comment right there, was if I ate it and I felt the aura later, anytime that we as epileptics, when people like that have seizures, they should ask themselves when this feeling comes on or a seizure happens, look back on their diary. They should have a diary of what they ate and what they drank, how they slept. If you only got 3 hours of sleep last night and you're not feeling good and you have a seizure, that's why. Like you said, Sean, when you saw her on the floor, you just go get some sleep. Sleep is the most essential thing to catch up on. And I had to say that to myself and start doing it. So when I started realizing, oh, I drank some Coca-Cola or I drank some this, and these journals really helped me. You know, so it was a diet journal. It was about sleeping. It was about relationships that I wanted to be in, but maybe that lady drank, or it was just stress. It was too much drama. I didn't need that. I had to start loving myself more and stay out of that.
Right.
I got a question. How important was keeping a schedule to your process?
It was pretty regimented, like pretty important. And without even me knowing it, I didn't know that I was creating a schedule. But Planet Fitness opened up out here about 10 years ago. You guys have Planet out there, I'm sure. It's all over the place. And it's like a 24-hour fitness. And they opened up right down the road from me. So in my sobriety, I couldn't sleep sometimes at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I would just get like 4 hours of sleep and feel like I got to get up. I got to go walk. And I'd be out there walking the streets, you know, and I was like feeling weird. And all of a sudden I joined Planet Fitness. So it was always open. I was working out at night or morning, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And I got really hooked on that. So I started regimenting my workout patterns to say after work and before work, regimenting my diet somewhat. I'm not like too strict on it, but if I ate some pizza or had a kind of a junk food night, ice cream, I just said, I'm not going to do that for a couple of nights, you know? So I was pretty good with a diet, but I didn't plan it and then do it. I did it and then planned it and said, this works, this doesn't work.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'm solid. Yeah. I like that.
The thing that I like about this is that the imperfections and the struggling that had to occur to make the situation work for you.
Right.
It just sounded like you had to go through the struggle in order. You didn't go through like taking yourself down. Okay, let me just get over this medicine. I'm good. You went through the cold turkey of it, but you also went through the drinking and like trying to battle your addiction, fighting with your addiction, and your addiction just abruptly saying, "I'm done with that." So it's an interesting. It's a lot of hope in the story. Is what I'm trying to say. It's a lot of hope for other people in how you went through it. Your process was so vigorous and so tough that I feel like it's a hope for a lot of people when they hear this.
Yeah, there's a lot of love out there. And I went to a Christian school growing up called Light and Life. So I always say that there's some light behind it and there's hope in God and other areas that people find. Even if they don't pray a lot, I say, you know, it's still positive thinking, prayer, meditation, do something different for your life and be more positive about life. And instead of why me, say try me. So God said, try this, try that. I had a bio that I had to reset. My biography, my bio was about escaping. It wasn't about facing life. It's like I wanted to erase life. But in order to erase it, I had to face it. And I had to say, I came up with these acronyms all the time now in my writing, but BIO stands for bring it on. BIO, bring it on. And I kept saying, okay, I can handle that. I needed that in order to grow. And I saw why people couldn't handle it because they kept drinking. I have a buddy that I drank with that just got out of prison for a 6 DUI in 11 years. And when we met, he had 3, I had 2. We met in the program, and, you know, I got 2 more. I stopped. He's just, and it reminds me of what God shows me in path and says, that could have been you. That if you drink again, that will be you. So I woke up and I said, I'm done. I'm done being done. And I have to change my life and who I surround myself with. You are who you surround yourself with too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah, I got a friend right now that's, man, he's kind of wish I could help him right now because his drinking problem is getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
He took it to another level.
Yeah, people don't stop unless they want to. And you can only do so much, right? You got to get him to meetings if he wants to go. But what if they say, I'm not going to go to AA. I'm not, what are you talking about? They get pissed off at you, right? And they get mad at you because you're saying, hey, I can handle it. That's an ego thing. Ego versus heart. The ego up here says, you're always handling it. You're good. You can drink. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, he's not your friend. And then you start losing friends because you're helping them. Isn't that crazy? Like you want to get them healthy, right?
If you young and you got liver problems, man, you got to watch what you're doing. So,
he's already got a problem, huh? And he's in 20s and 30s.
I think he's starting to have, I think my boy's starting to have like liver problems for real. So.
Does he drink hard alcohol?
Yeah, he drinking. He had me drinking with him. He had me drinking alcohol with him. And he used to be drunk before he get me to 11 a.m.
One of those
guys. Already be drunk. 11 a.m. he was drunk. Then he'd come get me drunk too. by the night he'll still be drinking.
Did he ever say he has a problem? Does he ever admit that?
Yeah, he knows he got a problem, but it's just tough to see that, it's so unsustainable. He knows he got a problem.
I think we've all been, male or female, we've all been in a bad relationship, right? We all had a little drama in our life. And an example is you can't get rid of this relationship. For me, like she always comes back. She's always there. That's how alcohol was. Alcohol was like, I'm done with you. I break up for a year. Feel good. And then she comes back. And then it was taking over me. It would like come and go. And every time it was worse and worse. And I went through divorce court a couple times and tried to break up with alcohol, but it kept coming back. Oh, you can handle it.
I'm gonna ask one more thing about alcohol, then I'm gonna get to this next question. Before I do that, does anybody else want to ask something?
Your friend probably needs to go to therapy because whatever's making him drink is something deep embedded in him. And as African American Black men, women will go to therapy, but men will not face that they have issues. So maybe you should suggest that he see a therapist, because whatever the drinking is not the drinking. It's something deep down inside that he's not addressing, like you said.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I can suggest too is getting him to meetings, because that's the step to get to a therapist. For me, I went to doctors and people, but the best therapy I had was AA, but I had to admit that I had a problem, and I went there and met people and then ended up later getting into therapy too myself. But it was a really hard step. So therapy, yes. And then definitely if he can go to AA, that would be the best thing. You can take him to a meeting, go to a speaking meeting and just hear different stories. And then he'll kind of realize, well, damn, that sounds like me. And then they kind of realize I'm not alone.
Right.
Yeah, you could tell somebody they need therapy until they turn blue in the face, but if they don't want to, it's never going to happen. I self-checked myself into therapy to make sure I was okay, and I love my therapists. They help me with my insomnia, with my behavioral health. I had to do sleep diaries just to get my life back on track, my circadian balance, and just writing down what I eat, like you said, Coach Stephen, what you eat. Writing what you do before bed, staying off the phone, the blue light, it has a lot to do with, messes up your sight after a while. What you watch, before you go to bed, using the bathroom before you go to bed. All of that plays a role in who you surround yourself with, like you said.
Who you surround yourself with is probably like the most important one, honestly.
It is, huh?
Yeah.
That's the thing that people don't talk about. And I think the most helpful thing for, anybody is just being aware and being aware and on a knowledge level, on a knowledge level to understand what's going on. Due to the fact the education system has let us all down, I'm sure. We need to start reading psychology. We need to start reading about bodily anatomy and understanding all these things on a high level so that way we know what we're dealing with when we do certain things. I feel like the education system hasn't really taught us how to have, let's say, street smarts and stuff like that. It just taught us to be just a person that just knows about what the system is telling you how to do, how to get a job and stuff like that or whatever. And the knowledge is the real problem because if I feel like he doesn't know how to even go about it like me. See, now we're not really from a great, the nicest place in the world, honestly. And going to therapy back in the day, it used to be like, you're going to therapy? Like,
yeah, what's wrong with you?
You weak. You going to therapy. You know what I mean? But now I'll go to therapy right now. As a matter of fact, I just signed up to go to therapy recently, like past couple months ago, trying to get in a program, whatever. I'm not weak. I'm just trying to calculate my life right now. I don't think it's a weakness for me. I just think I'm just trying to like be coherent about what I'm doing with myself.
It's actually a strength.
Get a view from the outside.
You have a strength to do that. You have a strength to actually say, I need to improve on this. What are my weaknesses? How can I grow?
Mm-hmm.
So you go to
tell somebody go to therapy. They like, yo, I just told a girl go to therapy. I said, I'm going to therapy too. You should go to therapy. Oh, just looking at it like it's just somebody just saying it just to drill something down in your ear. Nah, I'm saying it's because you need to calculate your life. I'm not telling you that you have a psychological disorder. I'm not telling you, even if you did have a psychological or a neurological disorder, so what? That's your problem. That's something for you to deal with now. Let's take it and be proud of it because a lot of people don't even survive with it. A lot of people don't even know how to handle that problem. When somebody steps up and say, yo, I got a serious issue, okay, I'm going to take care of it. That should be respected more than anything else, rather than somebody, like you said earlier, pointing the finger at everybody else. Oh, he did it. He's the reason why I'm drinking liquor.
Yeah.
He's the reason why I'm like this. She's the reason my ex-girlfriend broke my heart and I'm upset with the world. Like, what are y'all doing? That's the real problem. So
I started asking a deeper question related to that is because in my sobriety, I go back to this relationship thing. I didn't have alcohol. Sugar was a lot. I had to eat M&Ms, Snickers, whatever. It would get rid of the alcohol, which is fine. But I started dating a lady who was an alcoholic. That was a closet alcoholic, though. I knew she drank, and I go, that's no big deal, And she was hiding this behind me for about a month, but she was always drunk. And it took me about a month to realize that she was always drunk, like just little in the morning, little at night. And it became pretty sad. And I was surrounding myself with her. Like you said, I was who I was surrounded. Now, it didn't make me drink, but it made me see alcohol from a different light as a sober person then. And I said, this is sad, man. And she's making me sad. And I am who I surround myself with, because it was just drama and it was alcohol. And it showed me in a weird way what I was like, and what I did to people that were sober. So it was a big awakening to see that they have to wake up, or I had to wake up. We are who we surround ourselves with. So I got out of that, and you're right on the money there.
We all who we surround ourselves with, man. I wish I learned this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I learned this at 16.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We got to go through the process sometimes to learn.
And it's the test that gives us our testimonies. Without a test, you have no testimony.
Preach.
God knows how to. I believe in God, but God does His best work in mess. That's when you see God's work in the messiest. I'm still a mess, and I'm still a work in progress. But and it's so funny because when I got diagnosed with HIV in '95, and then with AIDS in '98, and so I figured out you have to have life insurance. And so I had this life insurance guy I was working with, and I was like pushing people to get life insurance. And people was like, I don't need no life insurance. I ain't getting ready to die. Well, you don't wait till you die to get life insurance. You get a life insurance now, because now people are dying and they passing out around the church. When you could have got you a small policy that at least covers you. And if you have children, leave a little something for it, but that your family don't have to suffer with. you know, when you leave here. I just think that's very burdensome that, you know, your children have to go around and ask people for money. I don't want nobody to have to ask for money to bury me.
Right.
If you bury me, cremate me, have a little left over, throw my ashes on the dance floor and dance all over me because I like the party. But we have to be proactive. And I just made 63. That didn't happen overnight. That was a process. I'm still a mess. Got to get off of sugar. Got to get off of this. I'm an AIDS survivor. So all of these things can affect my kidney. Thank God I don't have kidney problems, liver problems from all the medication I take. But I can do better. I need to lose about 20 pounds. But food is an addiction. You know, people say alcohol, but food is just as bad.
Worse. Food is worse. We can talk about
Yeah,
that.
So I'm working with a program.
really.
We eating too
So
much food.
I'm working with a program called Heart Smarts, Dr. Tetsu, and she is phenomenal. We follow Dr. Furman's nutritional guidance, and they don't just talk about why we need to stop eating the crap we eat, but they explain how it affects your DNA, how eating dairy helps towards back problems, stuff that we don't even think about. Because the food that we're eating now is a business, it's processed. Everything is processed. And the more process you put in, that's why we see so many young people with cancer now. Cancer's out of control.
Crazy,
But it's the food that we eat.
Let me give you an example. I love that. So it's part of what I see in my parents, sadly, is there a lot of wheat, flour, and products that I've tried to almost 100% eliminate, but I still like crackers once in a while. When I eat this stuff, it tastes good. And then all of a sudden I'm coughing, and I hear my mom do this all the time. She'll eat a bunch of big sandwich, wheat, flour, and then she's coughing and coughing. Mom, it's what you're eating. Oh, no, it's not. She won't listen to me. So I love her still, whatever. But I know from the fact when I eat these wheat thins or products like this, that it feels like it's just bloating me, and I feel bloated, and so pay attention to the body again, right? And pay attention to how we feel. And when you're sluggish, what did I eat? What did I drink? That's what I ask, right?
Inflammation. I'm reading this book now that we got to read called The Silent Fire, and how chronic inflammation can destroy your entire body. So we're not even talking about kidney and liver. We're talking about inflammation can wreak havoc over your entire body. And inflammation comes from dairy. Inflammation comes from meat. Inflammation comes from all of this. Like you said, I ate wheat yesterday. I ate bread, and all of a sudden I was mucus. It all causes a lot of mucus too.
Yeah, definitely the meat. I had to learn from being in a hospital. They put me on a ketogenic diet. So it's like more high protein, less carbs, but it was very specific with the meat that you eat, less red meat.
Oh, the baby like meat, because as soon as you said meat, meat.
You got an audience around you. Meat.
Yes.
Or you used to say beef. It's what's for dinner.
Yeah. And it's such being under this program with Dr. Furman and all of these, oh my gosh, these videos, Food Inc., What the Health. Oh my gosh. They took people that had like disastrous numbers in diabetes and then high blood pressure and hypertension, and put these people on a 6-week no meat plant only eat vegetables, different mushrooms, water, and had them on a 6-week diet. And practically all of those people are now walking. Some of them have walking problems, bent over, hunched over, and exercise every day, 30 minutes of even just walking. Because sitting is a disease. When you sit too long, that it's already doing something to your body. So we done had documentaries on sitting. And I mean, this program is, I haven't gotten there yet, but my aunt is 70-something years old. It's about 200 of us it's all online. And Squeaky, you should join just to even get the information. And I'm telling you, it's so powerful. I picked up this book yesterday. I was like, oh God, another reading. But this book, Silent Fire, about inflammation, is incredible.
Wow. Thank you.
Look that up. I listen to Audible a lot, so it's called Silent Fire.
Yeah, Silent Fire. And look up Dr. Furman. He's rough though. So and yesterday, listen to this. Yesterday, Monday, they had a doctor named Coach Jay, and he said he could tell anything what's wrong with you through your poop.
Yeah.
Through what you shit out. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Your poop. People don't even investigate they poop.
Yeah, because that's a process we all go through. And when it was all alcohol, it was all out quick. Let me just keep it simple. But when it's all alcohol, your system doesn't process any of that, and it's got to get rid of it. And that's why you have kidney and liver disease. When it's so much, your body's like, what are you doing? Get rid of this. So pay attention. Write a book on that. Pay attention to your poop.
Right. Pay attention to your poop.
Right. You should do that, Coach, because you just wrote a book called Thank You Times
1,000 Power. Yeah.
And I listened to that to sleep, and it was amazing.
I've got it on my YouTube channel there. If you go to thankyou1000.com, you'll see the rough draft version of it, I call it. Something came to me about 2 years ago when COVID hit, and I started recording myself in a little studio that I made in my RV, and I started recording. The book I've been writing was about 200 pages back then, so I wanted to hear it. And I like to hear it because I'm an audio guy, and I just thought, oh, that sounds good. And I started editing it that way. And I thought, well, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. So I put 1 chapter, 2 chapters. It came out. It's over 350 pages now, called Thank You to the 1,000th Power, how to turn the FUs to thank yous and be able to change your mind, change your life about the way you view things, and welcome challenge, welcome change, welcome hardship. So a lot of that's in there. When I listen to it, I'm like, did I write that? Now I'm not showing off or anything, but I say I'm showing up now because I wrote it and I'm like, look, this is pretty amazing, because I was hard on myself for 5 years in sobriety. What a loser, what an idiot. You had all this and you lost it. But the more you put out like that, the more you receive like that, right? Receive. And I kept attracting the wrong people in my life, kept bringing in all the negativity because I was really negative about myself. So everybody here probably agrees you can be your worst enemy or your best coworker, so to speak, right?
Squeaky, can you put that in the chat? Can you put his book in the chat? I'm gonna get it, or I can go.
Yeah, I think it's not out yet. I'm actually recording right now for Audible. I'm going to my friend's studio tonight. Every Friday I go there to record it, and you can go on and subscribe on my YouTube channel and things like that. And yeah, under that, just put it on there. Thankyou1000.com. I don't know if you hear those ducks, but they must like it. Got to hold. Yeah, there you go. So hopefully that.
Also, can you said that Maria, the other book you was talking about, can you put that in the chat as well, so we can listen to that? It's always good to exchange information. Thank you for everyone in here. Hi, Zia, and everyone on that's going to be on the check-in afterwards. And we got to shout out the sponsors. We have our health sponsors, Cat's Claw from Nuestra Salud. Gotta figure this thing out here.
Can't really see
There
it.
you go.
There you go.
All right. The Cat's Claw is what helps save my life. It stops inflammation. And also, that's from Nuestra Salud. So you can use my promo code SQCLNS to get any herbs from them. And we also have Zola's original herbal remedies. Zola's. She gives licorice. She has licorice sticks here. This is the base root of my medication, actually. I was telling you about, Coach. Licorice roots.
Yeah.
Licorice. That helps with the brain as well, and a lot of other things. Bacteria.
I got a bag of that. I have some licorice powder. I don't know what it's called offhand, but yeah, I've been taking some of that and some mixing it. Yep.
It's a antimicrobial, also I have some passion flower, vitamin B complex helps with the brain. I've been doing a lot of stress relieving, GABA, natural
GABA, yeah.
GABA, L-theanine, and lemon balm. Vitamin C, of course, will always help knock out everything. Colloidal silver. Wait a minute. All right, there you go. Colloidal silver. We have also taurine, helps with the brain function, cardiovascular health as well, nervous system, everything with vitamin B complexes, and valerian root helps with sleep as well, and stress, anxiety. Valerian root. Skull
So
cap.
you have these, is this a product line that you have?
Oh, no, I wish.
Oh, okay. It
Not
sounds
yet,
like my
not-
cover.
not
You're,
yet,
you're
not
saying the
yet.
same thing.
Not yet.
I have all this stuff. Yeah,
Too
that
soon.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, no, we're just collecting our sponsors. That's all.
SqueakyGyms.com, man.
Squeaky Clean Juice and Gym, that's my holistic online apothecary. So I do, help sell the products, but these sponsors are amazing and they help save my cause. So I just shout them out.
We have to get our health together. But
Also, CMOS is really good. CMOS Head is another sponsor. You can use my promo code Squeaky Clean Head, and you'll get 20% off your gels and free shipping of wholesale CMOS, which gives you back all your nutrients, over 102 minerals and vitamins that your body needs. It's also called Irish moss. So it's very, very good to know these natural ways to heal yourself, to help heal yourself. Because like you said, you got to be your own advocate. You're your own doctor. And I have to still take my medication, but it's traditional medication. Like I said, is based from licorice root. So I do a combination therapy. I do tests with my doctors yearly, CAT scans, brain scans to show that, my herbal remedies is working along with the medication.
Yeah,
Yes, I have another question. I said, so how did you escape from escapism?
good question again. I stopped escaping, and a quote I kept coming up with in all my writing is face it in order to erase it. Escapism was, I can't handle this, or this person did this to me, or this job sucked, this relationship sucked. I kept escaping through alcohol. And then when I didn't have alcohol, I kept escaping through anger. And this was something I've been dealing with up until about a year ago now, with a biological father that didn't want me in his life, still to this day. And I found out I had a half brother and half sisters, and they heard all these stories about me, these false stories that he told them narcissistically, and they don't want to see me. So even when I was sober, I was escaping, I say somewhat, like with anger and rage and vindictive thoughts of like, this guy did this. And I wasn't ever going to drink. It wasn't like that, but it was more like it wasn't healthy for me to think about him all the time and to think about somebody that's not in your life and they still affect you. He wasn't there for 30 years. So why should he affect me? So instead of escaping from it, I had to face it in order to erase it, like confront it, write it down, pray about it, work on a journal. And this is what this book was about too. So some of the book is facing the demons of your past, being able to erase it. Because I know that my story is going to help so many others because it helped me. And it wasn't about focusing on others initially. In AA, they say this too. You got to love yourself first. Do this for yourself. And I had to do it for myself in order to help others. So in order for me to love others, instead of that F you to my biological father, I said, thank you. And then I moved in Escondido here in this North County area. I moved a couple times over the past couple of years. And then this is so ironic. This is why it's God's path is I point out in my driveway area, a long dirt driveway, about a quarter mile. When I pull out every Saturday, I kept seeing a farmer's market or a farmer's stand, like a sign out there. And it said, I won't name the name, but it just said so-and-so produce, you know, they're having their Saturday sale. And I swear, my biological father and my half brother, I've heard about this. They have nutrition. He lives right up the road he lives a mile up the road. And he was putting that sign out there every Saturday, my biological father. So in 2018, I did.
What did the sign say?
What's that?
What did the sign say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It was a farm. It was for a produce business that they have. They sell. They're into health and wellness. They're into nutrition. You know, they have their own farm right up the road. And I didn't really keep in touch, so it's kind of a long story. It goes back to escapism, though. It's something that they have their own produce and farm business. You know, the family that doesn't want to see me. And they're right up the road from me, like a mile up the road. And my father was putting the sign out there every Saturday to have their farmer's market, you know, to have their produce. And I saw him walking out one time and I stopped. I'm like, hey, Rocky, how's it going? His name's Rocky. And I'm like, hey, Rocky. And we talked, we caught up. It was pretty cool. It was actually a closure part, though. It was just like seeing an old friend. He was pretty cool. Just, hey, what's up? Okay, see you later. I'm like, okay. I just laughed at it going, this is weird. But then I didn't have any resentment. I didn't have any anger. And I started getting out of that escapism. It was a lot of thoughts in your ego head and your ego mind that say, he's going to get this and he's going to do this and this must have happened. It's just stories that you can never stop thinking about if you don't face them in order to erase them. So I started giving him love instead of giving him hate. And I really think that's why I met him at this time. And I'm going to drop off a book at that stand when I publish the book. I gave him my first book too. That's why originally in 2018, I got a copy of this too. I was going to show this, but I was published in a book called Living with Heart. And I didn't know this at first, but I got published with Les Brown himself, Big Les. And it was a co-authored book about my story. And in 2017, I was like on top of the world getting published. But then I made some financial mistakes. I ended up homeless, living out of my office. Exactly what Les Brown, if you know his story, he lived out of his office. It was crazy. It goes back to being appreciative of it, though. And I learned from this story because even though I lost everything financially, I knew it was a challenge. I knew it was a change. I didn't want to escape. I didn't want to drink. I didn't think about it back then, but I faced it in order to erase it. I said, thank you, God. And the faster I was thankful, the more within a year, I had my life back to normal. Within 2-3 years, I started my business. And now I have a corporation and I'm doing a business, and it all changed, you know, from homeless and hopeless to having prayer and meditation to get published with this man too, was wellness from the inside out. And it was a big shift in my life. It goes back to your question though. So seeing my father, not being angry, giving him forgiveness, I didn't want it anymore. So it was kind of like I avoided escapism. Escapism would have been like, well, F you, and then walk away and be mad at him. And that anger would have boiled over into maybe drinking again, or maybe more homelessness. I don't know. It could have. It's just going to make it worse.
That's powerful, man.
Thank you.
That's definitely powerful, because it's just like after a while in this life, you got to realize like things is going to happen. And what I realized is that over the course of time, something that you're not mentally prepared for is going to occur. Something that you're not mentally prepared for is going to occur, and that's going to be, like it was said earlier from Miss Davis, it's going to be a test. That thing that compromises you mentally is going to be a test. And if you act out of anger, you're going to fail. If you act out of spite, you're going to fail. If you act out of hate, you're going to fail. If you act with your ego, you're going to fail. If you act out of any lower self activity, with any lower self activity, you're going to fail. You have to use your higher self to get through this journey and succeed the right way anyway. You could go about it the wrong way if you want, but I don't suggest it. I think you should try taking an approach like this. Because not only are you helping yourself, you're helping other people.
Yeah.
That's what makes it even more empowering.
Yeah, because what you're doing for yourself, you can do for others, right?
Exactly, for sure. Definitely. So
well, it's great connecting. I got to get back to work too. I work in assisted living, by the way. So I have my company, but I contract with assisted living and I help the elderly and keep the beds full. It's called, do my sales job. So working with Alzheimer's and dementia, but I have a freedom, like this, to do what I want when I want. But
still got time to do got to do your thing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. So that means it's time to get going. But
yeah, that's fine. We definitely asked everything we needed to at this moment.
Yeah, that's good.
Appreciate everybody for coming on with us.
Thank you,
This
guys.
creative collection here.
Another classic.
Yeah, let's keep doing it. I mean, we'll keep in touch and then keep rolling together, because bringing more people together like this, I kind of had that vision too of having a big meeting group, helping other people that have alcohol problems, drug problems, or just in general life, relationships changing. The 7-year shift, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Every 5 to 7 years we're changing, and we need to grow out of it in order to grow in it.
So that regimen that you got is definitely, like I said, it's a general regimen anyway. Somebody could come here and listen to this and take your advice spiritually, mentally, physically, and they're gonna end up being a better person tomorrow anyway. So it's not even just about one thing, but we definitely wanted to focus on the epilepsy for this specifically.
Yeah, in general, in mental, mind, and recovered coaching, because it's all about having support. So your story is very motivating, and for those who will catch this on the end, you can reach out to Coach Rudolph. Reach out and if you need any kind of assistance, because I do get a lot of questions as well about epilepsy and pregnancy, and people that don't have the knowledge, or they don't take any medication, but they want to learn how to holistically heal themselves. And all of us have our own great stories and testimonies, and we all are recovered and recovering and healing. So I appreciate just having a support system and being pointed in the right direction and having like minds to support. So thank you.
For sure, and thank you guys for everything you're bringing together. So let's keep doing it and keep in touch. And I'll get this put on the YouTube channel and get you a copy of it. We'll get it out to all kinds of people.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. Yeah.
I call it life after lockdown, by the way. So 14 years of addiction, escapism, alcoholism. It was my own lockdown. So when we entered lockdown in March of 2020, I knew this was a calling, and I knew I kind of woke up and said, this is what I'm here for, So I've even put that in my book. It was like my own, I called it locked up, locked in, locked out, and locked down. How about that? Because I was locked up in jail, I was locked out of life, locked in addiction, and locked down, just like COVID, but you can't get out,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So this whole lockdown, I was like, whatever. I've been there, done that. It was much worse than when you're locked up in prison. And I thought everybody's going to understand it now. I think it was our calling with epilepsy, especially too, when you lose your license and you can't get out, and you have to start over in life, but you still can't get your normal life back. It's hard. So people can understand it now with this COVID, the big changing point.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, we're gonna let you get to what you gotta get to.
Okay.
All right. So peace, everybody.
We'll talk soon.
Everybody has a productive weekend, or a restful weekend, or a productive weekend, one or the other.
Right.
All right.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Stay tuned for another health seminar, Creative Collection NYC, and we're out. Be blessed, everybody.
Take care.
Sun does burn, the sea is cold, but we're all in the same rowing boat, and we're trying to get along. Sit down by the river, and you will find you're no bigger you are inside.